What's up, guys? John from HeavySet Tactical here, and I have another video for you guys today. Finally over one of my injuries to my leg, so I was able to get on the trail this weekend. I was on a section of the Appalachian Trail that actually comes through Gettysburg, the edge of Gettysburg, so in Pennsylvania. So I was up there today, or I'm sorry, this past weekend. And I was able to shoot some video on a couple of knives and some gear, so I'll be posting some following videos after this one. But I just wanted to talk about today, this is the Lionsteel T6 in CPM 3V. Now, it says Lionsteel, Italy, CPM 3V, and Maletta, which is the maker's name, designer's name. So, again, they have many, and when I say many, about 6 different color patterns and 2 different steels. The K490, which was only a limited 1,000 of them were made, which I have, and then the CPM 3V, and they come in a few different colors and patterns. You know, this one's a little marked up because I wanted to get back to my reviewing of knives that I've used in the field, and a lot of the videos I put up are kind of first-hand when I first get the knives. So, real quick, let me run through some specs, and then I'll shoot over to that piece of video I have, just showing you guys, after a hard day's use, how it fire sticks, and some, just a quick minute of reel. So, overall length is 11.50, 11.5 inches. The blade length is 6 inches. The cutting edge is about 5.8, 5.75 inches. The blade width is 1.75 inches. So this is a really big, meaty blade here, and that's why I really like the grind on it. Again, the thickness is 0.25 inches. So it's got a really nice, you can kind of see my thumbnail against that, really nice thick blade. And again, a lot of people hate it because it can't scrape a ferro rod, but I love the back of the blade is rolled over there. This was one of the most comfortable large belt knives, and you know, as a survival knife I've ever used. I literally chopped 2 trees down that were about that big around with this knife. I love it. So the thickness was 0.25 inches. Blade material CPM 3V. It's a drop point flat grind. Nice big huge flat grind. It's in a drop point, which it actually has this really awesome swedge, and I'm gonna hold it a little funny here for you guys to see that tip. So it comes straight out and then has this adjusted swedge on the front, you know, cocked down, and then gets to over to the rest of the drop point, kind of normal drop point. To be honest with you, this is one of my favorite knives. It's got a little bit of oil on it and some stuff. And then, so this is the brown micarta and the old black tempered blade. So it's got the flat grind, kind of a non-traditional drop point that I really liked, and I'll get to that later. A lot of penetration capability. When I stab this into a fresh cut log, you know, it's going in an inch. I mean, it's a freaking, it's got a lot of use to it. It's a black stonewash. The edge type, it's just got a plain edge on it, which I kind of adjusted just a little bit when I sharpened it and stropped it. The handle length is 5.375 inches. The handle width is 1.5 at its thickest. I really love this handle, guys. I cannot get over how comfortable that full-size grip is for guys with meaty hands. And then then they have a attitude adjuster in the back there. So when I was chopping yesterday, the edges of this are kind of rounded, and I was like, why the heck would they do that? And it's so your pinky can sit against that when you're using a chopping grip on this knife. It just, I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed using it and how well it worked. So, the handle width is 1.5 inches. Its thickness is exactly an inch at its thickest point. And you know, it has a bigger belly, which I really like. Just a great overall grip on this knife. I mean, this knife served me very well on the trail. I was able to cut a lot of stuff with it. It's got the brown micarta. Now, it is a heavy, you know, as far as a bigger survival knife, like I have a TRC Apocalypse, this is not nearly as heavy as that. But it's got a lot of weight to it, so you can use it as a chopper. It's 13.4 ounces exactly. And it comes with this Kydex sheath that has a MOLLE compatible backer. I put it through that top loop and just use this as a belt loop here. And I'm telling you guys, when it comes to sheaths, now this is a button here. This entire loop pops off. So when I was using this during the day, because I wasn't, you know, keeping it in there for a long time, I actually swiveled this at first. I swiveled this underneath there. So while this is on my side, you know, you can swivel that side under there. So when it's against you, you know, it's kind of out of the way and you can take it in and out and you don't have that in the way as much, which I like doing. But again, nice positive click. It's got this unbelievably comfortable thumb ramp. And when it comes to Kydex sheaths, you can put any kind of clips on these. You know, it just has 4 screws here. You can pull this off, maybe even use it on another sheath if you want to. And when you take this whole backer off, essentially what you have left is just that Kydex that you see on the top of my hand. So you can put all different attachments on there. But when I always tell, it's got really good drainage as well. But I always tell you guys that, like, when you buy a high-end knife, every knife I have that's over $350 or over $300, I'll say, is the sheath is kind of crap. And it's so funny because, you know, a lot of companies focus on the knife being really great and then kind of just use an okay sheath. This is a great knife and a great sheath that it comes with. They take the time to grind down and mill all these sharp edges of Kydex so you can really not worry about getting these ends caught, these tips caught here. And the thumb ramp is so beautiful. Super nice and easy. You know, and you can pop this off while you're using it if you want to. It's just a button. But yeah, super easy to use, super functional, super comfortable. You know, belts on, it looks great on your hip. And I have a bunch of video that I'm going to pop up after this. But attached to this video at the end, I'm going to put about a minute of me feather sticking with it and just how that big flat grind works. Now, all these different types are the same price. I'm going to drop, you guys know I really like and respect the guys over at Blade HQ and the service that they provide. So I paid $325 after shipping for this knife. So Blade HQ has all the different versions of CPM 3V as $319.95. So $320 plus shipping. You know, you can customize stuff on there and get anything engraved along the edge here, which is great. But what I really wanted to talk about very briefly today, I used this knife for an 8-hour hiking trip. And it was in use for probably about 2 hours out of the day. And when I tell you, you know, I love showing you guys knives like the, I just did a video on it. This is my everyday carry, favorite everyday carry. This is the Reef knife. Now, I haven't cut a lot with this, but I've done enough to know that the grind on it's great. The blade and material and everything on it and the make of the handle are really solid. But this knife, I got hard batoning and hard use out of. I came home, hit it with a little bit of gun oil and a sponge with some dish soap to just get all the grime off of it and all the sap off of it first. And then I also hit the handle with a little bit of water and then set it out to dry. And I have to be honest with you guys, I used this thing for 2 hours, chopping all kinds of stuff, and I have not touched the edge. So I wanted to show you what you're realistically going to get. And now that my leg's healed and I can get out in the field and do some real testing of these knives, I need you guys to understand that this knife and this blade is exactly the way it was when I left that trailhead. I have not stropped it. I have not touched it. It is still razor sharp, don't get me wrong. The only thing I can complain about with this knife is because the edge was so sharp, and I mean razor sharp. You don't have to go like this when you're trying to shave your arm. I could go like this in one sweep and shave the entire top of my hand. That sharp. The only damage, which isn't even damage to this knife, is that roll right there. And you guys can see it. Let me make sure I get all the dead skin off of there from just wiping that blade. You can see it right in front of my fingernail here. That there is a very tiny roll, tiny roll, which is not even a chip, it's more of a roll. You guys can see it right there, right in that view of the camera, I believe. A tiny rollover, which you can literally fix with a strop. You don't even have to hit this thing with a sharpening stone. But yeah, right there, you can see that tiny little glimmer. That is the damage of using this knife for literally 2 hours straight. And I'm gonna grab a piece of paper here because I want you to see how sharp this thing still is. I mean, deadly sharp. Now you can see that rollover stops right there. Right there. That's where it is. So it gets caught a little bit on that roll. It'll still cut fine. Oh. Like I said, I'm not very good at cutting paper. I just wanted to show you guys how medieval this knife was. So now, what you can expect from a CPM 3V version of the Lionsteel T6 is to be able to use it for hours on end. Hours and hours. And for it to have very good edge retention, you know, as long as you're not hitting dirt a lot, or depends on how hard the wood is, if it's like a seasoned oak or a seasoned American oak, whatever it is. And you can see, I probably hit a really hard knot with that batoning or something, but that is the only blemish on this knife that happened in hours of use. Really hard use. So, I'm going to throw that extra footage in the end here, and I just wanted to say that I'll put the links in the description for you guys to purchase this knife, but this is one of my, I keep kneeing this thing and making the camera shake. This knife is just out of control. So useful, so functional. The grip and handle materials have a lot of grip on it. It's really great for some finer cutting if you want to use it as a chef knife in your camp to make some, you know, veggies or cut up veggies or whatever you're doing, cut some steaks up. But yeah, where I found it most useful was batoning. This thing will cut any damn piece of wood you could find. So yeah, thanks for tuning in today, guys. And I hope my videos, you know, kind of give you a buyer's guide for if you are in the market for one of these knives and you want to check out somebody's opinion on it before you buy it. Because this is my, and again, I buy all these knives out of pocket. I do not get any promotional stuff to it. I don't have any of those accounts where you guys can pay towards my channel. I like sharing my craft with you guys, and I do it as a hobby because I love some of the newer knives that are coming out. So yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a good week. Stay safe. I'm going to throw this last minute of video in here so you can see me feather sticking with it. Everybody says on their videos, I've seen a lot of people say, well, you know, it's not the best feather sticker, but because of the edge and the grind on it. Dude, this thing feather sticked and did smaller specific tasks, choked up on it like a beast. So razor sharp edge, hung in there all day. I didn't even take a strop with me all day on Saturday. So yeah, you guys have a great week. Stay safe and stay heavy. So I heard everybody talking about how great the edge retention and steel and everything was on these Lionsteel T6s, but then they said they didn't fire stick well. And I'm here to tell you that I also with me today have my Bark River Bushcrafter with the convex that's essentially made to bush, you know, made to feather stick and do bushcraft and carving. And this Lionsteel T6, man, is made for fire sticks. I mean, like, or I'm sorry, feather sticks. It is so, the edge on it, I mean, this wood's super dry, but the edge on it is just bites in. And you can go as light or as hard as you want. As you know, I was doing some thicker ones, thinner ones, medium, and then paper thin. And man, I think the edge on this thing, you know, if you guys want a functional knife that can feather stick, you know, and you can choke up on it and do some of the lighter tasks, you know, I think it works great. So I just want to put that out there.